broke out and died over it. You're watching a different show. It's donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks. The brackets are complete. It's the final version. Everybody knows where they're going and who they're playing and what your weather advantage is going to be and everything else, or not. It's all done. What do you guys think? It's all done, and I just want to know what you think. It's the latest thing that, just like everything, all Notre Dame people don't agree on. It's unbelievable how something about Notre Dame-iness in the Notre Dame ecosystem, whatever happens, whatever it is, we hardly ever agree on it. I see people who like this draw. I see people who don't like this draw and are mad about the precedent being set. What does Notre Dame have to do to be a 5? 12-0? Is that enough? Like, that's the other thing you start thinking about. What does Notre Dame have to do to rise above teams that are going to lose conference championships then? Is it undefeated? Is that the message being told? You're not getting a 5 or a 6 if there's teams in position like this unless you're undefeated. That's maybe a lesson learned, something to consider. What do you make? People are saying you can't be mad, don't lose to Northern. You can't argue with that. You have the worst loss of anybody in the whole bracket, the whole thing. Like, you really can't complain with that. Like, you could want it to be a different way or them to look at it a different way, but when it all comes down to it, you did lose to Northern Illinois. Now, I wonder what if you were 11-1 and you lost by a field goal to Texas A&M on the road week 1? Then what? Somebody says join a conference. You could certainly do that if you wanted to, and you would eliminate some of these questions. You could do that. You could join a conference, but Notre Dame doesn't want to join a conference. So it's interesting to see where they all fall. There is risk and benefit to Notre Dame not wanting to join a conference, but be a part of this situation, right? So I don't know, you guys. I think there are positives about it. There are negatives about it. And I just want to know what you guys think. So let me get through the introduction. There's some good super chats and some good chats to go over. And then I want to give it to the callers and just, let's see. All right. So we're popping. I want to get to we have a full bank of calls, but everybody's got to go quick. Nobody can go 12 minutes today, whatever. We got 1 million people. It's a couple minutes. Give your point of where we're at in these brackets. I want to get as many people in. Nobody can have a thesis today. I'm going to have to start being a jerk and cutting people off. It's the number one thing people complain about this show, that I don't do a good enough job cutting people off. And when I give them the hint, they don't take the hint, cut them off. People want the hook. People want the hook. So it's easy to say that and then be the one to be the jerk and cut people when they're like in the middle of this Notre Dame thought they think is great. It's just easier said than done to tell me to be the jerk. Anyways, as always, thanks for being here. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Johnny out too. Notifications on that way you don't miss stuff. To Twitter, search bar Always Irish. Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishndy@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. Nobody blames you. How do you think I feel? Notre Dame Fighting Irish brought to you by Sports Illustrated. We read about it every day. I'm averaging about 3 articles a day, 365 days a year. There's always an idea up here in Notre Dame land, especially now more than ever. Looks like you already know the phone number, 312-988-15. Dialed up, tell Uncle Johnny all you've heard and seen. Yeah, I had pictures with Santa Claus and everything this weekend. I had to tighten it up. Yeah, it's 3 hours. I'm averaging 3 a day, Pat. It's not 3 posted every day. Sometimes there's 6 or 7 in a day and none one day. It just depends on the timing of everything. But that's what I always shoot for, is 3 a day. Patreon.com/always Irish. Former captain Mike Goolsby, Jared Clark, Florida State championship winning football coach, breaking it all down. It's unbelievable. Promo code NDCFP over there. Check at the checkout. We're giving people, we want as many people to jump in. So we got deals for you guys the rest of the playoff run. This is all bonus time. Okay. Couple super chats. Couple things to think about. One is, what do you think about this weather situation now? See, this is unique with Indiana because now everything changes. Because this is Indiana and everything that comes with that, it kind of changes. Okay? It kind of changes. So now I'm wondering, I was figuring no other fans of the other team barely are going to show up if it's cold and they have to come from somewhere, right? Come from somewhere, wherever else, and travel and do all that and get a hotel and be miserable in the cold. You eliminated all that. So physically, I don't mind the matchup of Indiana, but it is a little frustrating. You position in this home game and you really don't have an advantage for it. It just is what it is. The other thing is, you guys, there's going to be more people there for the opposition because it's Indiana than anybody else that it could have been. Does everybody just accept and understand that? I don't know whether that's planned, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm just saying, or like if that's something they thought about. I'm just saying it's right down the road. It's not, they don't even have to get a hotel. So these Indiana people are going to want to go. Think about it. If they wanted to consider going before they knew where they were going to end up, they're building in all this money for hotel and airfare and all this stuff. Now they don't even need that. That's awesome for them. So they can afford to go to the secondary market and spend more and still spend less on this trip than anybody that would have considered traveling for this. Go to South Bend, be in your own bed at night. There's going to be more Indiana fans there than if it was any other drop. And I already know I'm already getting messages of people that are Indiana people that are loading up on these tickets on the secondary market. It could end up not being a big percentage. I don't know. And should that be the end all be all? No, it shouldn't matter at all. But I'm just saying it's interesting to note you went from this home field weather advantage thing all the way to, I feel like there's going to be way more Indiana fans there than there would be any other team because of these unique dynamics, and you get no weather advantage at all unless they want to throw the ball around more than we do, and it's windy because it's winter and they can't do that as much. Okay, that counts, I guess. But you know what I'm saying. It isn't going to be a team scared to play in the cold. So that's interesting. And some people are saying Indiana fans are Notre Dame fans as well. Yeah. It's funny. I don't know what to make of this, but now you got this whole, listen, I'm not here for this whole upstart Signetti thing. And like, we're the team of Indiana and all this stuff. We're not doing it. And I got a couple weeks to get all mad about that. We're not doing that. We're just not doing that. We're absolutely not doing it. Where that's what this turns into, is this whole letting him be the tough guy, you know, that he tries to do the tough guy thing and like, straight face Signetti, all this stuff. Fine. I get it. It's just, we're not letting them do this where it's like, hey, we're the kings of Indiana football and we're going to prove it. We're not doing that. We're not doing it. So you need to take care of business before anybody wants to talk about Georgia or anything else that is or isn't on this bracket or whatever. You need to take care of your business here against Indiana. There's a lot on the line. I won't Google who. Who do you want me to Google? I'm just saying it's just interesting. But the fact that it's Indiana it stirs up a whole some different levels of pressure and some different things I wasn't counting on being in the mix are now in the mix. So that. Whatever. That's all I'm saying about it. And then I'm going to go to the chats and then we'll go to the phones. I feel like Notre Dame has a fairly favorable physical matchup in round 1, and then they play the toughest physical matchup in round 2. Do people agree with me? Like, Indiana's not a bad physical match. You're not afraid you're going to get like burned by Indiana skill people the way you are Ohio State or something like that, or Tennessee even. or some of Texas's athletes. This isn't that. That's a favorable matchup, but it feels like the round 2 one. I think Georgia's the toughest team by far, the most well-rounded. I mean, can Oregon even play defense at all or stop anybody? In the other two, I don't think people are taking that seriously. Sorry. So it's a rough draw in the second round. So you're going to have to go beat an SEC team with everybody picking against you. The danger in all this, you guys, the danger in all this is everybody looking at Georgia and what comes after that. And then you overlook Indiana and you get embarrassed. And you know what else you cannot do? I'm going to tell you what else you can. Oregon's amazing. I like what they do on offense, but it's very frustrating watching them not stop the run at all. What am I talking about? I'm very frustrated watching them not stop the run at all. I'm telling you, it makes me sick to my stomach to just see them not play defense, man. They just wouldn't stop anybody. It was bothering me. It was bothering me. Yeah, I like their offense, but I like just stop somebody once in a while. Beck is out. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying talent-wise, the Georgia roster's above all the other ones to me. But there's no reason Notre Dame can't beat them. It would free Notre Dame up. Everybody will be picking Georgia. It would totally free Notre Dame up to just play as hard as they can, doing it their way and whatever, and going for it. It would be an awesome opportunity for Notre Dame. I think everybody would be picking Georgia, and you would be able to just free yourself up to go in there and change the whole narrative with everybody watching. Georgia has all that talent, but this is not one of those tightly wound, totally put together, absolutely impossible to score on defense Georgia team. Like, it is not one of those. The other thing you need to think about, though, is I do respect Georgia's coaching staff prepping for this kind of situation with a bye week and all that. There's probably no staff out there that will do a better job than Kirby will, given their experience in these types of situations. But I understand it is not a top of the line, totally humming Georgia team like we're used to. It's not. It's just not. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I think SMU Boise State is an easier 1-2 run than Indiana Georgia. Does everybody agree with that? So, like, if you wanted to get yourself in that position, that would be fine too. Why are people saying Signetti said like they're the team with the history in Indiana or something? Yeah, is he talking about hoops? He's talking about basketball, sure. Mikey pulls. Good morning, John. I have one question for you. Why not us? I don't know, man. Get out and go on a run. I've seen every team be vulnerable this year. I've seen every single college football team in the mix appear to be vulnerable this year at some point. Steven, Morning Irish Nation, that IU head coach, he's getting on my nerves. He's doing the old tough guy thing. I'm Signetti. I don't smile. I'm tough. He's doing that. It's bugging me already. If I'm Freeman right now, making the team watch the NIU game every day. Not weekly, but day. Now more than ever, this game's relevant to this. Yeah, here's the thing, Pat. Here's the thing. What you cannot do is you cannot give two teams in a year the best wins they've ever had in their entire program's history and call the year a success. Period. Maybe that's the biggest takeaway of the entire show today, you guys. That may be the biggest takeaway of the entire show. You absolutely cannot be in a position where you allow a team at your place to get two, not one. Two different teams would have the biggest win in their program's history at your expense in the same year in your building. It absolutely cannot happen. You're going to kill any good vibe of any of this is ruined and dead if that happens. You cannot sell any of this as a success. I will not care about that 10-game winning streak. It's not going to matter. You can't do it. You can't do it. There's too much on the line perceptually. You can't do that. You can't let the basketball team from Indiana come in there and beat you, and then you get two teams you're given the best wins they've ever had at your expense on your field? Are you outside your mind? You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. So there's a lot that changed on the line here because it's Indiana, not somebody else. There's a lot of different stuff. But I'm telling you, I'm going to lose my mind. You let some basketball school come in here, Johnny come lately, just start like trying or caring about football, and then all of a sudden now they're beating you and they're the king of Indiana football, winning in the playoff? Are you outside your mind? It's a nightmare for Notre Dame. It's a nightmare for Notre Dame. You can't let it happen. Pressure, pressure, pressure since week 2. Here's more pressure. This is a different kind of pressure, unique kind of pressure. But this Signetti, he's trying to be tough. Bugging me. It's bugging me. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what he was talking about. We got a lot of history. Yeah, and hoops in the round ball. Get out of here. Anyways, so whatever. Look at this. $50 holler, Ryan. You said some of us are going to get what we want with Georgia in the second round. That's way different than getting Alabama at home in the cold in the first round. By playing Indiana, we mostly lost the home field advantage. I agree about the home field advantage part. It's a little bit frustrating, but I also like this matchup compared to some other ones. It's kind of in the middle, you guys. Not the easiest road and not the toughest road. That's where I would look at it. That's way different than getting Alabama at home in the cold in the first round. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't disagree with that. I'm just looking at rosters. I'm trying to take circumstance and record out of it and look at this based on rosters. Talent, just talent. Take some of the circumstances away and the nuance away and think of talent roster. Just look at it rosters, not all the ancillary stuff. Rosters. Where does Notre Dame match up that gives me, I think, the percentages of winning or losing? That's how I'm looking at this. We lost to NIU. It's fair. We get a 5-seed for 12-0. Okay, so there's somebody who does think if we are undefeated, that's what would lock in the 5-seed. I guess where you start having a question is, yeah, we lost to NIU, and that's bad. What about, but that was only one loss. What about teams that have two losses or something? Like, are we sure that we're going to keep giving buys to the winners of these conferences automatically? Are we sure we're going to do that? Because some of them are not the best teams in the country, but we're just doing it. Even though the conference isn't that good, we're just doing it to do it. Or can there be a reseeding? Should there be a reseeding in here or something? Is this one of the ongoing lessons we're learning about this procedure? I don't know. I'm just asking. Yeah, Sly here. I believe our seeding's fair, especially compared to Oregon, who has to play Ohio State or Tennessee. Yeah, that's the other thing is like, congratulations. Isn't that the talent-wise, that's got to be the toughest bracket to come out of, and you're the number 1 team at the bye. You're the only undefeated team. You have the bye, and that's what you're greeted with. Dude, that's a tough road because that's talent on talent. Ohio State, Tennessee's talent and talent. That's just that's a tough road for number 1. It really is. Oh man, Philly special. The one team weather wouldn't affect is the team we drew, so throw that out the window. I believe we should have been the 6th. That being said, just win the game. I think they set a precedent. It's upside in those championship games unless otherwise proven. Mark with glasses. I think the weather, more importantly, will affect style of play, not just guys being cold. We have a tank at QB, ball control, running attack, good defense. That is good in bad weather. That's true. That's certainly true, Mark. $20 holler from the 80s guy. The conference games don't matter. Both Texas and Penn State lost, have 2 losses, and we're seated above 1 loss Notre Dame. They're basically rewarded for losing. Also, someone on this committee sure loves Penn State. A bunch of people in the country love Penn State, apparently. But here's the other thing. This is what I mean. They have made it crystal clear they're not going to penalize these teams for losing in the championship. It seems to be all upside. Like, it's a bonus. The best you could do is earn a bye, and the worst you could do is not drop down that far and still be in really good position. Phil's saying, Signetti's saying IU is a more historical program is hilarious. What a clown. I don't watch all this fluff BS. I didn't watch all those interviews and this crap. He's got to be talking about basketball. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not even laughing. I'm not even going to yell about this. Tell me he's talking about Bobby Knight throwing chairs and yelling at people in the locker room, please. We are not Marshall. I live in the A-Town stomp. Local sports radio already saying what an easy path Georgia has to the Natty. Hey, man. It would be a good opportunity for Notre Dame to it'd be another opportunity to change everybody's mind about Notre Dame, force respect, do something different. and then you're making a real run. It's just, I don't think it's deniable. That is, to me, that and Oregon are obviously the two toughest teams to run into in that second round. So I don't know. I'm hearing the ticket market is exploding. Get ready for a sea of red. It's not going to be a sea of red, but I am hearing there's a lot of Indiana people on the secondary market picking up these tickets because now they realize it is just a drive. You don't need a hotel. Be in your own little Betty at night. It's perfect for them. They were planning on spending more money if they had to travel and wanted to go. So now they could spend more just on the tickets because they don't need to do that. This is basic stuff. But I don't think it's going to be overwhelming. But I'm just telling you, it's probably going to be annoying. It's just too damn convenient. It's too convenient. Chances are Indy destroys IU and Freeman gets credit for doing nothing. I don't. Why would he get credit for doing nothing if they destroy IU? He would put him in position to destroy IU and then oversee the team that destroyed IU. He gets credit for both of those things. Tex ND. Tickets are so expensive because it's intrastate, no lodging, airport. That's what I'm saying. It's too damn convenient. Couple super chats, then we'll go to the calls. $2 Aller, Steven. IU head coach getting on my nerves, John. I'm glad I didn't see it. Tell me he was talking about hoops, man. Bobby Knight. Callahan Auto Parts. $5 Aller, 31-17. Riley, and the Riley has to control the ball. Defense has to have a couple turnovers. If the run gets established, we're good. Just goggle it, John. $2 Aller from Mark. What am I goggling? What Signetti said? Callahan Auto Parts. Oh, I already did that. $5 Holler from the V1 rotate. If conference games literally mean nothing, why are people always so mad ND isn't in a conference and doesn't have the threat of another loss? I don't know, because the things have changed, man. That's the one thing that frustrates me with everything in political coverage, in sports coverage, whatever it is. There's no penalty for being dead wrong or contradiction at all. I see it with political coverage on both sides of the aisle and media that covers both sides of the aisle. And I see it in sports too. There's just no penalty for being hypocritical or just being dead wrong. You just move on to the next topic and everybody just moves on. Nobody gets held to account for anything. It's really frustrating. So they kind of mean something until they don't. Then they do, and then they don't. Rodney, $2 Holler. It's great for college football, but no SEC match. $10 Holler from West Palm. Pap. Playoff bracket equals best case scenario for ND. Oregon, Texas, Tennessee, OSU, and Clemson all in the other bracket. I did think of that. Need to beat only one good team to get to the title. West Palm, I had this thought last night when I was looking at this bracket. It's super. If Notre Dame can get by that Signetti guy, sounds like he's an associate for the Chicago outfit in 1984 or something. That Signetti guy, Siggy on the street. I thought of this, West Palm, how the other side of that bracket has a lot of the top end talent, but it's ultra hyper focused on you're all in or all out on Georgia. But if you beat them, then you have a real run to make here. But again, the biggest sin any Notre Dame fan or player or coach or anybody can make is looking ahead to Georgia before Indiana. It's a tough enough team with Signetti. They're not going to be scared to go into Notre Dame. So $5 Holler, the sauce. Being an Indy fan who currently attends IU, I'm so sad. This is by far the last thing I wanted, man. Dude, you're in it. It's too damn convenient. Everybody, I think somebody is right when they said that a lot of these people are actually like Notre Dame football fans too. You're like, it's the weirdest. Only Notre Dame could end up in one of these matchups where half the fan bases like each other. Like, oh my God. So I don't know, man. It's really funny, but I do think a loser in all this is number one Oregon, man. Don't you guys agree? I think you're a big loser in this, Oregon. Like, you're number one, and then they play talent on talent no matter what. Oh, I think John would be an amazing game show host. I am thinking of a way to put that together, man. Some sort of something for the offseason. I really am. I'm not kidding. I really am. All right, if you're on hold, you're going to be on the air, but I telling everybody we're doing a couple minutes each. It's the number one thing I get hammered for every day. I check my email. You're doing a bad job. You need to cut people off and be a jerk about it. So I need to start doing that. Bruce, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
John, what's good, man?
Hey, what's going on? I want to know your thoughts, man. What do you make of these final brackets?
All right, so I'll keep it quick. First, I think that Notre Dame got seeded the way they did, almost as just spite from the committee, just because the committee's like, okay, Notre Dame agreed to the conditions. We got to let them in. They're also a big draw, but we still don't like the fact that they're independent. Everyone, for whatever reason, just has this issue with the independence. It is what it is. So they spitefully seeded Notre Dame the way they should. I get this whole premise to some extent of not punishing guys for playing in a conference championship game, but to me, there's no way Penn State should have lost and still been ahead of Notre Dame. But it is what it is. So now Notre Dame's got to go out, get the job done against Indiana, which I think they will. Oh, and also, real quick, I think that the committee knew how much an advantage home field would be for Notre Dame against the Southern team and deliberately took that away from them. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, Bruce, I've thought about this too, to where the committee maybe could find a way to kind of stick it to Notre Dame, but not so blatantly that you could complain about it, because they can still say, what else do people want? They got a home game. Like, what, you know what I mean? So they could give Notre Dame that as a benefit, but then kind of stick it to them with a couple other things there. But at the same time, I wanted a weather advantage too, and you're not going to have it. But physically, I think Indiana's a quite favorable matchup for Notre Dame in round one. So, like, I see both sides of that.
Yeah. We're going to find out. I don't think that Indiana can beat them. I don't think they will beat them. They like to throw it a lot, and obviously, if you want to throw it into that secondary, you go ahead and do it at your own peril. But we'll see if they can also effectively stop the run. I don't think they were able to do that too much against Ohio State.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But the last point I got before I get out of here, John, is I think I sent you some screenshots, man. I was really impressed with not impressed, but surprised by a senior ESPN staff writer doing his picks and having Notre Dame getting all the way to the national championship game and falling short against Oregon. So I thought that was really interesting, totally unexpected from someone with ESPN. But I guess it's maybe the TV personalities on ESPN that are more so totally devoted and biased towards the SEC. But the writers seem a bit more reasonable. So I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, that was interesting as well. And it really is, Bruce. Tell me if you agree. It's like high risk, high reward Georgia for Notre Dame, because I do agree with West Palm, Pat, that a lot of the top end talent seems to be on the other side of that bracket. If you could get by Georgia, you could make a real run. So that will be a flashpoint if you could survive the Signetti. If you could do that, that Georgia game, well, it opens up on that side of the bracket talent-wise after that. But it's going to be a huge flashpoint.
Yep, I agree. Quick question. When it comes to Georgia, right? Because, again, I do think Notre Dame will play Georgia. You know how I am about the SEC. And now that there's no Bama, the next big boy is Georgia.
Yeah.
And I'm almost looking at it like if Notre Dame can knock off Georgia, for me personally, like, that's all I can ask for. Anything else is gravy on top of that. Is that a loser mentality? Or should I be thinking if we can knock off Georgia, we should make a run all the way to the chip? Because, believe me, living here and dealing with what I got to deal with, if we knock off Georgia, I am acting the damn fool.
I'm sorry. I get it, man. It's like the Ohio State people. You know what it reminds me of, Bruce? The Ohio State people saying, even if we win a championship, it's not going to mean anything to me because we lost to Michigan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some things just mean what they mean to you, even if it doesn't make sense to everybody else. Like, but it's about progress, man, and that respect and everything. And like, and here, Bruce, here's the other thing you got to think about. All of this is so fascinating to play in your mind. Here's the other thing. Even if you did find a way to rally and beat Georgia and play your good defense, catch a couple breaks, whatever it is, there's a physical toll that comes with playing a Georgia team you're going to have to deal with the next round too.
Yeah.
That's another thing I think about when I'm saying that when I say Georgia is probably the toughest second round team to have to play, that's a part of what I'm thinking about too, is of the physical loads, that's going to be the toughest one to take, and then followed by Oregon, obviously, of that second branch. But I think about that as well. But again, I also don't want to think any of this crap until you beat Indiana. It's a trap. This is all all a trap, Bruce. And you can't end this year giving two teams the best win their whole school's ever had at your place. You can't. That narrative is terrible for Freeman.
It would be, yeah. But real quick, and the very last thing, I promise. You just mentioned the physical toll. This is not in terms of physical disparity between teams. If we should play Georgia, this is not the physical disparity of 2012 in terms of Notre Dame versus Alabama.
That's true.
That's true. Much more physically equipped and athletic to deal with a team of that caliber.
That's true.
Thanks so much for the call, John, man. I appreciate you as always.
Oh, have a good one, Bruce, man. This is exciting times, man. Enjoy the start to the week. Thank you. That's a good call, and we kept it to 5 minutes. That's pretty good for me. I'm trying here. Give me a break. We're going to bang through the calls. Try and do it like that. You need a gong like the gong. Dum. There's got to be something. I need a bell or something, or a timer on the screen. And when it goes off, Kelly says winning is hard or something at the 5 minutes or whatever. I don't know. Dude, you guys, I feel totally weird in between feeling like Indiana's a good physical matchup for Notre Dame and being frustrated we're not getting like a cold weather advantage. I guess the only thing is give me wind. If they like to throw it around a little bit, it doesn't have to be that cold, but give me some December wind, late night December wind at 8:00 at night. Give me some of that. give me some of that for sure. All right, let's keep it moving. 570, you're the next one up. What do you think of the brackets?
John, I'm gonna tell you, John. I'm just saying. We're gonna smack fire out of Indiana. I'm just saying. We're gonna smack fire out of them. We know they're pretenders. The only real team they played, they couldn't get more than their quarterback couldn't get more than 68 passing yards. I'm gonna say that. And then you figure. And I'm not worried about Georgia either, not for nothing, because I think we can run on them. And every time we played Georgia, I mean, if you remember when Brandon Wimbush was our quarterback, I mean, we should have won that game because it was a late without a bounce pass interference.
Hey, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Tell me if you believe that the following is true. Tell me if you believe this. I believe that that this year, I think Notre Dame is a much more athletic and deep team than they have been, and like could compete with the Georgia a lot more than they have in recent years. I believe that. And I also think that this Georgia operation, everybody knows what a machine they are with their recruiting. But I don't think this particular Georgia team is as put together as ones in the past that were totally peaking in all areas. And I think that gives Notre Dame a shot in that ball game more than a lot of people might think. Do you agree with me or not? That's what I really think.
I absolutely agree.
That's what I think. And that doesn't mean I'm not respecting Georgia. And I know their staff is experienced and winners. And I know the talent. And I know the talent. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to be
because it just means more down there. But I'm gonna tell you this, John. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you this. This is Marcus Freeman's third year. He is an elite level recruiter. We are not Brian Kelly's. This is not Brian Kelly's Notre Dame. And Brian Kelly's Notre Dame took them down to the wire with Kirby Smart as the coach. So what I'm telling you is I trust in, I mean, think about it. Our All-American Benjamin Morrison is out for the rest of the year. And I still feel confident in our secondary. And what people need to realize before they keep saying, oh, you gave up 360 yards, whoopty-whoop, whatever, how many yards it was to USC. First off, we went from South Bend to New York, back to South Bend to L.A. You don't think these kids are tired? And not for nothing, sorry, we have an academic standard at Notre Dame. These kids are also going to school, really going to school. They're not going to GED, to GED classes. You know what I'm saying? Like they're really going to class. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but Marcus Freeman is building I've never been so impressed with the backups in my life. I've had in 30 years of my life, I've never thought we had this much talent. And honestly, with Carson back out, wow, he sucks. He sucks anyway, but because he would throw the ball to Xavier Watts a couple times. But to be honest with you, John, I'm gonna be real with you. I mean, they're gonna have a first time start. Well, he's not. He's gonna be a first time starter. I mean, he's played in games, but he's gonna be a first time starter. I think we beat the doors off of Georgia, and I don't think Penn State can hang with us. I see us in the national championship. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I actually feel confident I'm going to see Notre Dame in the national championship game. Because I don't think Indiana can beat us. I don't think Georgia can beat us. And I don't think I know Penn State cannot beat us.
So okay, so wait.
I live in Pennsylvania.
So let me ask this. I want to be fair about this, and I want to think of it from all angles. Like, what is the appropriate level of confidence for Notre Dame people to enter the Indiana game with, but at the same time respecting the matchup that they're a tough team, and if you give them a reason to beat you, they will? Like, what is the right balance there between Notre Dame people entering this moment with confidence, but not being overconfident to where it hurts you? What is that level, man?
I'm gonna be honest. You got to keep it moderate because we did lose to NIU this
Yeah,
year.
we certainly did. We certainly did. And you can't give two teams the biggest win in their program's history at your place in the same year and feel good about where your season ended. You can't do it. It's just dangerous. It's dangerous, man.
But also, who was the quarterback? Who did the quarterback that the Falcons drafted? He played for Washington last year. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He played for Indiana and in the COVID year, he got injured. I can't think of him. But that's not that they don't got him at quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got him at. He was a top 10 draft pick. I can't think of his name. But they don't got him at quarterback. I'm gonna say keep it moderate because I truly believe Marcus Freeman he is a big game coach. He's a big listen, you got the I truly believe you got the best offensive coordinator, you got the best defense coordinator. And you are a leader of men. And Marcus Freeman is a leader of men, 100%. The opening night, Texas A&M, you seen the fire in Marcus Freeman's eyes. He rose them kids to that. You know what I'm saying? I truly believe we are going to beat the doors off of Indiana because I don't think Marcus Freeman is going to let us lose that game. Now, Georgia is. I don't have much faith in winning the Georgia game, but I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I'm not going to say that. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah,
but I know this. Thank God Alabama got left out because I don't care your schedule. Your schedule fell how it fell. Yeah, you had a hard schedule. But you don't lose to Vandy and you don't lose. We would beat Oklahoma by 40.
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought it up because I think that is one thing maybe most people can agree on they did get right is that they held the line on letting them in with those awful losses. Anything on the way out, man? Thanks for the call. Appreciate the energy on Monday morning.
I just want to say this. We're going to beat Indiana. I'm going to be calling in. And go Irish, and I love you, John, and I'm gonna continue watching the show. But listen, Riley Leonard, it's your time to shine, buddy. It's your time to shine. Now we need you in the passing game for the rest of the way. That's all I'm gonna leave out with that. You need Riley Leonard to be able to pass.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one. We're keeping it moving a little better today. You guys, listen. There's multiple levels to this. How you want to look at, you want to zone out at the whole bracket and look at it like West Palm Pat was, where a lot of that strict roster athletic talent tends to be on the opposite bracket of Notre Dame. And it appears physically to me, like roster-wise, Georgia's that big dog in our bracket. Like, I get it. If you want to look at this whole thing, bracket it out, and look at what's beyond Georgia for Notre Dame, be really excited about that, that's fine. You could do that, and it's not wrong because the bracket's all in front of you. I'm just telling you, oh, God, here we go. I'm going to have to lay this out. Because of the circumstances of what this is now going to be with Indiana and the unique storylines that come with it. I'm going to repeat that. Because this is such unique circumstance, because it's Indiana, This whole thing is on the razor's edge again. We were talking about going into USC. This is all a success or fail for the whole year based on this result. Whether you like it or not, that's just what it's going to be. You're either going to make the playoff and get a home game or probably be out because of this game, whatever. It was all right there. This is it again, you guys. You are either ending the 30. This is either going to be the team and the coach that end the 30-year bowl drought and make that history and have all this emotion and all this momentum heading into the other round. And this team and this staff are going to be the ones to do it, unlike all the ones that have come in 30 years that weren't able to get it done. It'd be this group. Or you're literally going to give a second team the biggest win in their program's history at your place. I cannot think of more divergent paths for a football season. I cannot think of a more divergent path of a football season. You absolutely cannot allow that to become the reality, to where you're letting two teams have the biggest win in their entire program history at your expense. Not only that, but it's at your place. One in the beginning of the year, one at the end. You can't call the season a success if you do that. So there's a lot on the line here. And the good news is Notre Dame's been playing with pressure all year. They've been playing with pressure all year. 260. What's going on?
Hey, John. First of all, last time on the line with you, I hogged the line. I apologize for that, but I only have one thought, and that is I hear a lot of these talking heads on TV complaining about the buys because of Boise State and Arizona State getting buys. So my thought is that if enough people are complaining about it, not just Notre Dame fans, the buys are going to go away anyway, or the automatic buys will go away. So what that means for us is here in the near future, if they do that, we can get a buy.
I don't know. Are they still going to build in some sort of thing to block us out of it? Whatever they reconfigure, it'll still block us out somehow? How hard would that be to do?
I mean, the thought that I heard was just that, you have your rankings and then you just see it accordingly. So, I mean, if that's the case, this year we probably would have had at least a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah, like why? Like somebody's writing in the chat, why can't it just be the 4 best teams get the bye, and it doesn't, and you just go from there. And if they want to block Notre Dame out, they can still say the highest we could be is 5. But you just, when all the conference championships are done, the 4 best teams get the bye, and then you don't end up with a 3-loss team in there or a team from a bad conference that just wins it, getting all that benefit. I don't know. How would people feel about that?
I mean, why do they have to block us? I mean, I
don't know. Penalizing us for being independent, I guess.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, at the same time, what means more? Notre Dame will have probably, I was looking at the 2025 schedule, we're opening up with Miami and Texas A&M. We'll probably have a top 25 strength of schedule next year. So if we go 12-0 with a top 25 schedule, why should a team that's in the 50s, 60s, 70s but has to play in a conference championship, why should they get a bye over us? All year long, we've had a harder path throughout the season.
Yeah, my thought on this is they've obviously imposed a Notre Dame tax because that's what they want to do. So I just think whatever the next setup's going to be, they're going to build something else in, man. I just think that it's just, they don't like that you're an outlier and you want to be invited to the party. And they think mistakenly a lot of times that the schedules are cherry picked and way easier, which doesn't seem to be true often. And then there's no risk of you losing in the conference championship game, although teams that are losing don't seem to drop anyways.
I mean, opening with Miami and Texas A&M, how do you argue that that's a easy cherry picked schedule?
Yeah, I'm with you. I just know what the arguments are. It's just they're independent. They don't like that it isn't tied to anything else, and you can do your own thing. And they imposed a tax. We're ganged up on in the meeting room, man. It's just everybody against you. You're ganged up on. These are all conference affiliated people, man. These are all, so you got to like, it's just like a tax to be invited to the party, I think.
My final thought here is just that with these super conferences continuing to be built, I think our hand's going to eventually get forced into joining a conference.
Yeah,
I mean,
wouldn't surprise me.
To me, I don't know about how other people feel. I mean, I know some people really like the independent status that we have, but for me, I don't really care whether we're in a conference or we're independent. It doesn't make me any difference. But I do think that our hand is going to get forced.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. If I woke up someday and it said due to finances or TV or some academic, blah, 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 you got to join the Big Ten or whatever. If I ever woke up to that news, I would not be surprised at all. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, or we would all love it or hate it, or what the details are. I'm just saying it would not surprise me if in our lifetime of doing this, that happens. Anything else on the way out, man? Thanks.
No, that's it. Thank you for everything that you do.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm just happy to give you guys a voice. It's a great fan base, and I like hearing what everybody thinks about everything. 601, let's have a little fun. You're on the air. We're breezing through them. We're doing a pretty good job so far. 601, what's up?
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's going well. What do you make of the final brackets?
So I was pretty surprised where Notre Dame got seated when I was watching the show, because in my mind I was thinking, okay, Notre Dame is probably going to be ranked second or third in the rankings, and they're probably going to get the 5 seed. And that's what I was honestly expecting when they didn't get the 5 and like Texas was above it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess whatever, they got the 6. Penn State was ranked above Notre Dame. I was like, hold on now. You know, I was genuinely shocked.
So what do you learn from that? Like, what's your big takeaway then from that? Is it just that they're just not going to penalize the losers in these conference championship games no matter what? Or like, or did you think like I did, is 12-0 enough for Notre Dame to get a 5 or 6? Like, what do we have to do? Like, what is your takeaway from that lesson?
So for starters, it's a little hard to analyze it this year because Notre Dame didn't lose to NIU. There is an argument there, whatever. However, it is glaringly obvious that the losers of the conference championships, the Texas and Penn State, they did not get penalized that much at all. And that's a little concerning, especially if in the future, like, Notre Dame does go undefeated, you know, and you're expecting to get the 5 seed, like, are we going to see an 11-2 team get in on the 5 seed over a 12-1? If that's the case, then, I mean, I think there might be a genuine conversation about, you know, Notre Dame needing to join a conference. But until that day comes, I think it's okay. But, like, that is something to think about. It's something that's kind of concerning. But
yeah.
However,
and then here's the other thing too, man. This is all going to change again because they're already talking about expanding this field at least another 2 spots to get to 14. So they're going to have to restructure this stuff. And then they're going to figure out whether they want to reseed after the first round or whether they want to change something with the automatic buy bids or like whatever they're going to do to block charge a Notre Dame tax. Like, they're going to have another chance soon to reconfigure a lot of these rules. It's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when I saw where Notre Dame was seeded at 7, I started looking at the potential opponents Notre Dame would have. Obviously, they got Indiana, which, you know, whatever. I think that's a pretty favorable matchup for Notre Dame. I was hoping for an SEC school to come to South Bend, but whatever. But then you see Georgia and you see Penn State, SMU, Boise State as potential matchups down the road. I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, this 7 seed ain't that bad. Like, this is looking pretty good. I honestly like Notre Dame against all those teams. Like, I really do. I think Georgia would be the toughest one, but I like Notre Dame against Georgia. I think Notre Dame can get it done against Georgia. And,
It's just,
it's
listen.
exciting to see.
All I'm saying is, I just feel like this Notre Dame team is more athletic and has more speed and more athletes to be able to hang with a Georgia roster than past Notre Dame teams, even the higher end ones. And for all the talent, I don't feel like Georgia has played as consistently as they would if they were humming on all cylinders. And that's how I see it. I think that's fair, a fair way to look at it.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason why I think Notre Dame is so, I have been so favorable against the teams in this bracket is, I like how Notre Dame could potentially run the football in a lot of those defenses, and I really like Notre Dame's defense against a lot of those offenses. It's that simple. And I'm trying to not to look ahead against past Indiana because we can't one game at a time. I really like Notre Dame against Indiana. For starters, their offensive line kind of has struggled a bit this year, especially against defensive front sevens. I think Algon's going to scheme, is going to put a lot of pressure and test that offensive line and try to get home to the QB, get some sacks. And I think it's going to come down to who is going to play better defense and who's going to establish the run. And a lot of Indiana fans like to say, "Oh, we're number one run defense in the country." Well, I think that's about to get put to the test in a couple weeks here, because I think Notre Dame is going to get at least 200 rushing yards against Indiana.
Oh man, and you know what else too? If they were able to do that, that's exactly how you would want to play a game in late December at your place in winter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly what you would want, is lean on Love, and that's what he's made for in that environment. And you can move the pile and create some lanes and mostly keep it on the ground, which is what Notre Dame wants to do. That's beautiful. That would be the roadmap. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for calling on a Monday.
Yeah. Last thing, the biggest theme I've seen this year from Notre Dame is, in all of the games they've won, they've either won the turnover battle or at least tied it. And the ones they tied it or it was closer in the turnover battle were the closer games. But the ones that they dominated in the turnover battle, they've dominated teams. So I think if Notre Dame wins the turnover battle against Indiana, I don't think it will be a very close game. But if Notre Dame doesn't protect the football and they give Indiana free possessions, and I think it could be a little closer. But take care of the football and get after them. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Have a good one, man. Hey, we're doing better today, breezing through. I'm proud of myself. We're going to be tested soon, but we're doing a better job. Tom, I see everybody wants to hear from the main man, Tom. Daniel Allen with the $2 holler. Looking like a mug shot over here. Join the conference or quit crying. I don't see that many people crying, and SPF is saying we're crying too. Are we crying? I just think, here's what it is. Not crying. I just think people didn't know what to expect from the first final rankings. And so I think there was a lot of hope in a large part of the fan base that really did think the 5 seed was possible with the losses that happened in conference championship week or whatever. So I think there genuinely was some intrigue about, can Notre Dame get into that 5 with those losses or whatever, or at least be above one of them, maybe not Texas, but above Penn State and whatever. And so there was a thought that was possible. Now you found out it wasn't, but I don't think people are crying about it. I want an answer to the question. How does this all look different if Notre Dame loses to Texas A&M by 3 points and beats Northern by 30? Does that change any of this? That the loss isn't to Northern or whatever? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I don't know whether it does or not, or if that matters or not. Whatever. I don't know. But I guess if you're looking at this, that's the difference between an SMU and a Boise State or an Indiana and a Georgia. If you're looking at why that change matters, because I do think that that's an easy road. My plans are to be determined with all of this, you guys. Still to be determined. Join a conference or quit crying. Look at this. Jay Lamont, the Wells Lamont, Notre Dame player of the game. Go independent. Like, that's always been my response to when people are like, well, it's not fair that you're independent. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, you schedule whoever you want, and then you can do your own thing and get your own TV, whatever. It's not, I don't know what else. You don't have to play a conference chip. It's like, well, if it's that awesome and that advantageous, why doesn't your school do it? There's nothing stopping you. Why can't your school go do it then if you want? Go independent. I like that. The Ohio Pod. The committee admitted two things with these rankings. Records matter more than head-to-head, and conferences get a nod. It's good to see you, Eric. Lawyer Cop, $5 holler. Question, alternative to join a conference. A two-loss ND bubble should book a game with the third-place SEC team on conference championship weekend. I don't know if that's legal or not. There was that debate during the COVID year. If you could just like schedule your own teams and make a deal to keep playing. That's something. Here we go. Chicago's very own Tom Frawley. What's going on, buddy? If you're on hold, you will be on the air. We're breezing through good today. What's up, Tom?
Hey, good morning. I don't know what to think anymore. I'm just the negativity on this chat this morning is off the charts. Like, what are you guys talking? Look at the journey Notre Dame's made this year. And from where we were the night after the NIU game and all the negative talk about this and that and the other thing, it's like, what was our chief goal at the beginning of the season? To get to the playoffs. Well, They got to the playoffs, right? And then they draw Indiana. I don't want to get into the college. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
The college football committee and the biases. All right, fine. Guess what? I'm a little bit more concerned about the Indiana game than I am Georgia, and I'm going to tell you why. If anybody watched the Georgia Tech game, Georgia Tech had the anecdote that slapped Georgia around for the better part of that game and got up 17-0. The only thing, their Achilles heel was their defense. Now, what do they have in common? Well, they got a mobile quarterback that can throw the football better than Riley Leonard, right? But his RPO game actually is what got them and stung Georgia. And, you know, I thought that was going to be to their advantage going into the overtime until Kirby Wine and Bitch Smart spent the entire overtime on the field between the 10 and 15-yard line, massaging those referees. That guy, he's going to be hard to deal with. But I'll tell you what, if Notre Dame goes into the Indiana game with the same blueprint Ohio State did defensively, they're going to blow the pants off of them. That quarterback cannot. He didn't have a chance. Now, can Notre Dame do that without KVA? I don't know, but I'm certain Al Golden is going to dial something up where the pressure can come off the edge and then up the middle. If they blitz it right, and they have to put pressure on their quarterback. Once they do that, then I'm confident they will win. But, you know, back to the Signetti thing, you know, he's doing his shtick. Let him do it. It's phenomenal, I think. He's already started talking crap. Let him do it. It'll be more bulletin board material for the Notre Dame players. But the biggest thing my biggest takeaway from this weekend, Notre Dame is not going to get any respect until they beat an SEC team. Period. Possibly when that happens against Georgia, right? So they got to take care of business against Indiana, get through the Georgia game, and then we'll see what happens. But quite frankly, the Paul Feinbaums of the world and the ESPN prognosticators and all those CBS and Fox people, let them keep steaming on, because these kids do listen to this stuff and they hear it, and it's great motivation. And you know what? I think you know, it'll play out I think we'll be all right if we can play solid defense as long as Al Golden, gets that communication part down between going from man coverage to zone coverage. But I don't really think I don't think it's going to be their Achilles heel. The thing that scares me is the lack of good wide receivers. That's the only thing that scares me outside of the kicking game. And I think they'll have the kicking game sorted out by Indiana. So we got 11 days. I think they're going into minicamp. They start the minicamp tomorrow. Is that right? Or today?
I'm not sure actually. And here's one thing I will say is Notre Dame prepared well for Texas A&M and that buildup. They were ready for the moment, whatever dials they turned to get prepared for that moment in the heat and the physicality and the athletes. They did a really, really good job. Nobody can argue they were not physically and ready for that moment. In that sense, I do like Notre Dame's preparation for this game and building up like that. Freeman has not dropped a game after an off week or an in-between week, so you have that as well. I think they will prepare appropriately for this. Let's see how many bumps and bruises you could get feeling better and be, physically in a little bit of a better spot for this moment. But Tom, it being Indiana it changes, it adds some wrinkles to this. It adds some interesting dynamics to this. Like there wasn't already enough on the line for Notre Dame. I do feel an increased sense of pressure. I do feel an increased sense of pressure.
I know it. It's in my own house. My daughter, Mary Claire, didn't get into Notre Dame, but where did she get into? She got into the Kelly School of Business as a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on. Yeah. It's it is
cross-pollination between Notre Dame and Indiana.
Yeah.
And like the previous caller said, they did stick it to us. Instead of us playing Clemson or whatever, or seeding us the way they did, they masterminded that. There's no question about it. But you know what? Whatever, they're going to always do this. And I saw a compilation tape that's on TikTok of all the bad things and the negative things that Paul Feinbaum, Stephen A. Smith, a couple of those people from that show.
Yeah.
I don't know who they all are. I don't pay attention to those talking heads. But it was all anti-Notre Dame stuff. They're irrelevant. Really? In 2024, Notre Dame's irrelevant, says Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. I know. It's rough. It's rough.
It's like, I mean, the two teams I hate the most, Miami and Ohio State, you know what? When they're good, college football is a lot more exciting. At least I can say that. And I hate them with all my heart.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fine. But they just will never give Notre Dame a break. And as long as I know that, it's like, what did Ryan Day say? Oh, it's Ohio against the world. Yeah? Try and be a Notre Dame fan or play for Notre Dame and take that around the world. Yeah, we've got a lot of people on our side, but the hate that comes against us and the bias, especially through the media, it's just now, and you have to break some of that down too. You don't know if they're just stirring the pot or if it's true bias. And I think it's 70% true bias against Notre Dame. So whatever. Good. Just get through Indiana.
Yep.
Give us all a nice early Christmas present, and then we'll go sailing into New Orleans and recreate the night that Lou Holtz took a 17-point underdog to play Florida in the Sugar Bowl and blew the doors off the Gators.
I like that. I like that a lot. Tom, thanks a lot, man. Always appreciate your energy. And as we build towards this, it's going to be exciting. Thanks, Tom. Have a good start to the week.
You too, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Oh, man. I'm telling you, Tom seemed kind of stressed out, bro. Did he not? He seemed a little stressed out. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. I could just kind of hear it in his voice. He seemed a little stressed out. Dang. Burke says, no, am I wrong about that? He did seem like he was stressed. Notre Dame has to win this game or they will bring shame to the state of Indiana. It's a must win. Yes. Burks, I don't care if you're a Michigan fan or not. Yes, I feel that, bro. I feel this. You cannot, again, again, you cannot allow two of these teams, one Northern Illinois, your neighbor, one these guys, your neighbor, both to end up with the biggest wins in their program history on your field in the same year and then claim the season's a success. There's no scenario. You can't do it. You can't. You just can't do it. The circumstances are, they've changed. 815, what's going on? If you're on old, you will be on the air. Hey, what's going on? What do you make of the bracket here? What do you make of the draw? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you in the middle? What's the deal?
I mean, I think we're exactly where we should be. Not that I want to be a 7. 5 would sound great. 6, if you look at the bracket, 6 is probably the best spot to be. But you can't lose NIU and then, bitch about being number 7. It's pretty simple. I mean, Texas is ran the board outside of Georgia. They haven't played the best teams, but I don't think we can argue where we're at.
Yeah, and the question I have is, okay, what would a 12-0 Notre Dame be guaranteed higher, or would it still depend on what teams are ahead of them and then losing the conference championship? That's one question I have. And the other question I have is, what would happen if, God, that's one question. And then I blanked out on the other one. My bad. I'm overwhelmed. I blanked it out. I'll think of it in a minute.
12-0, we're guaranteed the 5.
12-0, we're guaranteed the 5. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you lost to A&M by a field goal and not to Northern Illinois, that's what I was going to say. If your loss was not the most embarrassing one in the whole field and you ended up 11-1, how that would change things.
Then I think we're at 6. I don't think we.
But that's also kind of messed up because that's one of your wins you lean on the plus side. So the thought that it would almost help you out more if you ended up losing it is stupid to say, but it kind of makes sense. But I like to lean on that as one of our best wins. So but that's just, it's the reverse of what you would think of what would help you.
You'd say that, but coming into this year, if I told you we lost to NIU, you'd have laughed. You'd have laughed at me.
Yeah, you're right.
And here we are. So
yeah.
No, I think I like our odds. Indiana, I think we go into that game and throw the ball 0 times and win the game. I think we could run 60 times and still win.
Interesting. Yeah, it's I we'll see. And again, it all lines up for a very Notre Dame type of game. If you have a quarterback that runs it and you want to run the ball and you don't know if you're gonna have a little winter wind or whatever, and you think you can maybe run it on this team, I don't know. But they have a high-ranked defense though. Do people just not believe that? Do you believe their defensive statistics are overinflated because of who they played? Because it's not. They have a really Is that what it is?
They played the Sixers before. They haven't played anyone.
Okay, I'm just asking because if you want to pull up those numbers, technically they have a high defense. But couldn't you say that about Notre Dame too, though? That's the issue I'm getting at is if you want to rip their schedule for ending up that high in the defensive rankings, don't we have to look at it that way of who we played too? What great offenses have we beat?
I would agree, but here's the thing: the defense has never wavered. Has our offense looked awful at times? Yeah, first 5-6 weeks has been awful, but our defense has always been consistent. We went into Texas A&M and gave up 14 or 16 points. What was it?
Yeah, what was it? 16 against Northern. That's a win. It should be a winning effort no matter what, even on your worst day.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I think the biggest difference between this team and I don't know. People want to say 2012 because it's the most recent dominant team, I guess. I think have you watched the special on Peacock, Here Come the Irish?
I have not yet.
So when you watch that, I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is how big and physical Riley Mills and Cross are. I think that is what we were lacking in 2012 is how big and just dominant we can be up front, and that's why we got pushed around. Yeah,
we have a lot more athletes too, man. We cover more ground. We have longer, lankier athletes that cover more space, more twitch. We have way more of that than we had back then. If you look on YouTube, a lot of those highlights, it looks like we're in slow motion. It's hilarious. So yeah, we're a lot faster.
I still don't know if we can recruit a wide receiver to save our lives, but that also comes with we can't really pass the ball either. So hopefully sooner or later we figure that out.
Yeah, it's man, this is going to be such an interesting battle. There's so many new wrinkles to this now. I think it should be a good matchup for Notre Dame as long as Notre Dame plays Notre Dame's game. You just got to play a good, solid Notre Dame style football game, and you should win. That's how I see it.
Yep. And my hot take is it's going to be a Notre Dame Tennessee Vols national championship.
Wow, that is interesting. Man, we'll see. One thing at a time, man. Let's get through Indiana first. Anything on the way out? Thank you.
The only other thing I have is, have you looked at the ticket prices today?
I have not, but I've seen what people have been writing in the chat. What are they? Getting outrageous?
Anywhere from about $1,500 to about $5,000.
Interesting. I've seen a lot of the people I know are saying that the Indiana people are all over them because they were not expecting to be able to get to the historic playoff game and not have to worry about a hotel or lodging or any long-term anything, be in your own little Betty each morning and night. And so they're willing to spend more money and make the day trip. So I don't know.
Great. I love it. I hope it's full of Indiana people and we just crush their hearts.
Yep, it is. Hey, whatever, man. That's Signetti. You just got to go in there and crush them. Hey, thanks for the call on a Monday.
Yep, see ya.
Have a good one. Oh, man. So I see a few different prices there. 1,200 plus fees, whatever. I don't know. You just gotta win this football game. You always had to win this football game, but now with this matchup and all these unique layers of history, Notre Dame finds itself in a position again to where if something goes wrong, it's one of the more embarrassing things that could possibly happen to you. Literally, to lose to an in-state school known for basketball when your whole thing is football and whatever, and then you host this game, like that is literally the most Notre Damiest thing that could happen in 30 years is to position into this point and then allow that to happen. And I'm really, really hopeful this team and this coach is the group that's different and isn't going to allow it. $5 holler for Fravel edits. We definitely got hosed. We have a better resume than Texas, and we played USC better than Penn State. Michigan A&D made sure we had a hard path. I mean, that's an opinion. Although I think we all do have to agree the Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon little triangulation there is by far the toughest road, top to bottom. Don't we agree? It's got to be. Can anybody disagree with that? John, were the White Sox in on Soto? White Sox aren't in on anything, man. They can't even agree on a TV deal. I don't even think I could get their horrible games on cable anymore. They can't even agree on a local TV deal. It's unbelievable. Like anybody wants to see it anyways. 559, you're on the line. What's going on?
Give me a quick minute about the car. I got something to say.
Come out of the well and talk to John. What? Huh? Hello there? Yo. Come on, buddy. So, all right. Somebody call 911. He's fallen down a well. He's fallen down a well and he can't get up. Call again. 815, what's going on? Thanks for the donation. What's up?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Good. So what do you make of these brackets here, man? Do you really think we got hosed? This is Fravel edits. Do you really think we got hosed, or what's the deal here? Or this is what happens when you lose to Northern at home, or what?
So, I mean, the annoying part to me, and I get it, we understood this format when we agreed to this last year, but when you tell us we're the fourth best team in the nation last week, and all of a sudden, suddenly it's almost like we got worse, at least by one spot in terms of ranking, just because we didn't play, doesn't make sense to me. I get it, we have to drop down to 5, but if you just look at the rankings, not the seeding, because I think a lot of people pay too much attention to the seeding, they basically said that Georgia's better than us, Texas better than us, and Penn State is better than us. I disagree with all three. And it was like somebody dropped what the BCS rankings came out. And if it was the BCS era, Notre Dame would be playing Oregon for the national championship. I don't agree that Texas and Penn State they lose their conference title game and they don't drop at all. Actually, it's Penn State stays where they are. Texas only drops one spot, losing to a 2-loss Georgia team with the backup quarterback. It's just frustrating because, our Texas's best win is A&M. According to rankings-wise, A&M is our second best win. And I feel like the committee just kind of went, oh, resume doesn't matter. You lost in your conference title game, so we're going to put you at a Notre Dame.
So
But,
what do
I
you
mean, it
what
is
do
what it
you
is.
feel about that philosophy that it's only an upside if you make the conference championship games, it appears, and that you're not going to be penalized for making it somewhere somebody else doesn't have to risk a loss? It seems like it's pretty much all upside, very low downside. You could end up getting the bye, and even if you don't, you're okay. So what does Notre Dame have to do to get a 5 or 6 then? 12-0 and the right combination of teams in front of them?
Yeah, you probably have to go 12-0, and you have to look pretty damn impressive in that 12-0 stretch. Because let's be honest, Notre Dame's only in this position to even have the 5 seed because of the chaos that's happened this year.
Right.
This is not a typical year, but I mean, it is what it is. We get Indiana at home, and like you had just said, you can't lose this game. And even more now that you play Indiana. But I even hate the fact that we're playing Indiana because it kind of takes away a little bit from the home field advantage in terms of we were all thinking, I think, a Southern team, whether that be Arizona State or an Alabama coming to South Bend and playing in the cold. Well, now you're playing basically a team down the road who's used to playing in it just as much as you are. And, I mean, I'll be honest, John, I don't know how you feel, but I'm worried about the stadium being taken over by Indiana fans. Because I think that there's going to be I've already seen it. A lot of Notre Dame fans that were excited and bought their first round tickets are already reselling them because they're like, oh, it's just Indiana.
Man, here's my thing with that. I have no doubt there is going to be more Indiana fans there than there would be of one of those Southern teams you mentioned with travel involved, going to maybe poor weather, definitely colder weather. Like, there's definitely going to be more red. It's a matter of me of how much. I don't know the answer of how much, but I will say this, man. It makes perfect sense to me. Anybody that was thinking about going from the Indiana end is definitely going now, and they're willing to spend more money for the tickets because they don't have to do airfare, hotel, any overnight crap, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you, anybody that's serious on their side about going is going to spend more than market value because they're making up all that other money they would have had to spend to go anywhere else and play. And you're right, man. The only home field advantage now is if they want to throw it more than we do and it's windy in there, then I guess you count that. But it is just not what we were envisioning in our heads, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, and you can't go out there and lose this game. You got to go out there and win, and then you see where the chips fall against Georgia. I mean, I don't know if anything's came out official about Carson Beck's injury, if he's done. I would assume he's done because I don't know if you saw the end of that game. He did not move his arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I hate it that you basically told Texas and Penn State that, hey, you lost a game, and you're rewarded. You're not punished. You're rewarded with the 2 easiest paths to the semifinals.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, man. It's interesting. And we didn't know what any of this data was going to be until we got the first data set. And now we kind of do have an idea of how they look at things. And so we'll see if this maintains consistency. That's the next part is when we get into next year, let's see if they're consistent with the way they've done all this. But as for Notre Dame, you can't overlook Indiana. This is a big moment now. There's more pressure than there already was. And there was already a lot. There's more now.
Oh, dude, and I hate it. I mean, because I don't know if you've seen, there's quite a few ESPN experts that, they already gave their picks for the bracket. A lot of them have Notre Dame in the national title game. And I'm sitting here and I've got some of my buddies that I know, they're like, I'm already buying my tickets to the Sugar Bowl to go play Georgia. I'm already booking the hotels. I'm like, you guys need to chill out.
Man.
You got to chill out. We got to focus on Indiana first, because guess what? You lose to Indiana, you thought people making fun of you for the NIU loss was bad.
Yep.
Oh, it'll be even worse.
Yeah. No, it is. There is a totally different level of there's a different level here with this matchup, no doubt. Hey man, thanks a lot for giving me a call on the donation on Monday. Appreciate you.
Yep, no problem, John. Go Irish.
Have a good one, buddy. We're moving along. Mark with the $5 holler. Hope 31 South's closed for the snow for the Indiana fans. Look, he's trying to put booby traps out on the road already. $10 holler from Michael. If we beat Indiana, does that mean our major bowl game drought is over? Absolutely. It would be a playoff game. And it really wouldn't matter who it's against. Just by definition, it being a playoff game would mean that it's a major bowl game and you win it. Yeah. And who it's against really doesn't matter at that point. Ronald would say no. Wait a second. Wait, you guys are really saying no? You guys got to be kidding me. You're not. This definitely would count as the first big bowl win. Are you kidding me? It's not a New Year's Six. There's no way you're not counting this as the first major bowl game after 30 years. Are you guys serious? You're not counting that? You guys are all saying no? Man, so what is this game then? What is this game then? All downside? No, wait a second. What is this game then? All downside and no upside for Notre Dame? You can't. I'm having trouble with this. I'm really, really having trouble with this. So you're telling me that for you guys, this game is all downside and no upside for Notre Dame in this game at all? And that if they win a playoff game to advance, you're not giving them credit for a big major bowl win game? What does this count as then? If you're not counting it as a major bowl win, you have to tell me what it counts as then. A home game? Like, what is it? I'm really genuinely struggling with a warm-up. Like, I'm asking. It's not a regular season game. You're not counting it as a major bowl win. What is it? It's got to count as something, man. What does it count as? It's a major win, just not a bowl, but it's not like regular season. Where do you stick it, so to speak? I don't understand how if this is a 30-year man, I'm struggling with this because I don't know where you place it if it doesn't. Yeah, minor bowl. A minor bowl. It's bigger than a bowl game, but not a major bowl game. It's a minor bowl game. There you go. It's a big game warm up. Man, I'm telling you, but here's what I'm struggling with philosophically is. What I'm struggling with you guys is it's all downside and no upside the way you're looking at it then. In what, Pat, you can't mean that. In what world is a playoff game not big game chain worthy? That makes no sense. You need to win it to continue playing. How is that not a big game? You guys are all being tough guys. The last couple weeks, you all want to be tough guys. You all want to play an Alabama roster round one, and now you all want to do this. It's all downside and no upside then for Notre Dame, and it's not a major bowl win. If they advance to the second round of the playoffs, it's not a major bowl. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with this, man. This is rough. Yeah, tough guys. When people were telling me they would choose a tougher path in round one on purpose when given the option, just because they had a hard on to beat a Georgia roster, an Alabama roster. That to me is tough guy talk that isn't logical. Yes, that's what I mean by tough guy talk. That, choosing a tougher path on purpose just because you want to prove a point. So, man, okay. So I guess I'm off then, and this is not a big game. It's just all the end of the world if you lose it, and if you win it, you get minimal credit because it's Indiana. What if it was against somebody else? What if in round one was Alabama or Georgia? Is it still not a big game? I'm confused by this opinion. Is it just because it's Indiana? What if it was Alabama round one? Does this change? Does this change if it's Georgia or Alabama round 1. Win or dumpster fire feels about right. Yes. It does feel about right. $2 olive from Brendan. Does a win against IU count as a New Year's 6? I never really said New Year's 6. I just always talk about it as a major bowl win. Like I never qualified this as New Year's 6. I always write and talk about it as a major bowl win. And I can't understand a scenario where winning a playoff game doesn't check that box. It's a playoff win. It's a playoff win. It's a Camping World Bowl, John. No. The one that's the Camping World Bowl is literally the Camping World Bowl. That's the one that's the Camping World Bowl. You guys are tough. You guys are tough. Pat, explain this to me. How is this not a major bowl game?
Well, it's not. It's
What is it then?
It's a home game in December versus Indiana, and if you lose, you are the laughing stock of college football again. And if you win, you beat Indiana at home in December, big whoop. Nobody takes that, and nobody in college football takes Indiana serious, and nobody in college football takes our schedule serious. So how is beating Indiana going to be a big win for Notre Dame?
Because I don't think it has to do with the opponent. I think it has to do with the situation. It doesn't have to do with the opponent. It has to do with the game you're playing, regardless of the opponent.
Everything Notre Dame has to deal with the opponent. Notre Dame gets no credit for the teams they beat. They get no credit for Texas A&M. They just get dumped on for NIU. This isn't John. You could say this is a big game, but it doesn't make it a big game. You're just like you always tell everybody in the chat.
I really struggle with this. Intellectually, I struggle with this because here's what I really struggle with. How can it only be the biggest downside of all time and not any on the upside? Like, that's what I'm struggling with, Pat. It would be the most embarrassing team loss of all time to lose, to give two teams the best win in their whole in the same year and for their program or whatever. All the fact that we're acting like it's, how can it be only the most biggest downside you could possibly imagine and nothing on the upside other than, I guess, you get to advance to the next round of the playoffs, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah. No, of course that's a big deal. But and I said this in the chat earlier, like even beating Georgia, we're not going to get respect. We're not going to earn anything because we're going to hear excuses. So I said, and again, go back to this isn't tough guy, because I agreed with you that we didn't want to play Alabama. But at the same time, I also said, even if we had Alabama in the first round and we beat them, we would hear Saban's not there. It's a 3-loss Alabama team coming in. You know, we would hear all these excuses about Alabama. Now they have a built-in excuse of Indiana. It's built in that nothing even has to happen. So you're not going to get credit for this. Should this be considered a big win? Absolutely. To win your first to win. Not only are you winning, you're winning the first ever 12-team playoff game. You know, this should be a big deal. But everyone's going to say, "Oh, look at Notre Dame getting soft Indiana." Like that's all it's going to be. And then Notre Dame goes into the bowl game, and they're going to get Georgia. And if Notre Dame wins that game, it's going to be it's not the Georgia team from a couple of years ago.
But since when are you the guy that cares what everybody thinks of people? And it's like, oh, let's just go out there and win it. But like, why are you the one leaning on what everybody's going to say about us as the reasoning?
I don't. That's why I said in the chat, we need to stop talking about respect and earning respect and doing that. The only way it matters is if we go and win the whole thing. And I only care about winning the whole thing. But if you could put a trophy on the table, national championship trophy on the table, they can't say shit.
So let me ask this.
But since we haven't done it in 35 years, it doesn't matter. All it's going to matter is if we lose, we lost to Indiana. Ha, ha, ha. Everyone point and laugh at Notre Dame. They did exactly what we always say they're going to do. And if we beat Indiana, they're just say, hey, you beat Indiana. Big whoop. They suck.
If Notre Dame should beat Indiana, do you think it's justified to count the 30-year big postseason streak over?
I don't care. No. I personally.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where to categorize this game. I'm just surprised people are not all counting as a major win that ends that 30-year postseason losing streak. But people are saying no. So apparently it's is it round 2? Is it round 3? How many rounds does Notre Dame have to win then?
I mean, again, I don't know.
People are saying it's not a New Year's 6, but all of the games we lost in that 30 years weren't New Year's 6 either. So I don't know. It's weird. Whatever, man.
But we won plenty of bowl games. We just didn't win New Year's 6 games. That's what it's about. And so, but it's like I don't care about that. That's not what I care about with this team. I want this team to win this game so they can win the next game and win the next game and win the last game. That's all I care about. And if you do that, all of this shit you're talking about doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because winning those football games will take care of the rest of it. So if I want to have those conversations, I'm going to have those conversations after Notre Dame wins everything. And I'm going to tell everybody, shove your disrespect up your ass. I don't care about independence. I don't care about schedule. We just ran the gauntlet and beat everybody. So bite me. But unless we do that, we have no reason to ask or expect respect because we lost in Northern Illinois. And if we lose to Indiana, I think that's even worse than losing to Northern Illinois. It's at the point where none of this stuff matters anymore. We have a serious chance to winning a national championship, and we need to be focused on what does it take to beat Indiana so we can focus on what it takes to beat Georgia. And that's the path we're on right now. And the rest of the stuff, it just doesn't matter to me. But when you're talking about the narrative and the media perspective and national respect, you're not going to get it until you win a title. That's just it. That's just what it comes down to. And then even when you win the title, everyone's going to say, well, Notre Dame would have never won the title if they had to play in a conference championship game. They just got to play one. And it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit at the end of the day. But the only way to start to getting them to respect you is going out and beating these teams and winning the title. And that's all. And I don't care about the respect. I care about the title. The respect comes with it. I just want the title. I'm sick and tired of losing.
Man, this is certainly new territory to cover. That's why this is all so fascinating. All of this is brand new territory for everybody. Navigating it and how you're defining it and how you're thinking about it and just all of this. I'm just finding it so fascinating. Anything else, Pat, while I got you?
No, we got to record this week, though. I got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we can do that. Text me.
All right.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Yeah, that's interesting, you guys. There's a lot of nuance on the bone here. 716, you're in the mix. What do you think of these brackets?
Oh, John, I'm telling you. Let me ask you a question. Is Pop the guy that golfs?
Yeah.
See the golfer?
Yeah.
He said everything basically I was going to say. Al will have it dialed up. Let Signetti have his stick. You know, who cares about what's going on? I was going to mention the Florida game where Bettis had the big 90-something yard touchdown run, and we crushed them with Holtz in Florida and was going to be running all over us. Georgia Tech gave Texas the blueprint, but Cartesian, he just wanted to toss it around the field like it was a pickup Thanksgiving Day game with neighbor kids. Feinbaum, he's a big windbag. I called the show a couple times, talked to him, and then Prissy Rutledge got on there one day when I was in a good conversation. She was listening. She said, "Oh, we're not going to talk about this." She hung up as soon as I started talking Notre Dame and all the different aspects. But I love Pop. I wish I had his phone number. We're relatively the same age. He's the one that was talking about he was in the service in the Navy when they had the 63rd game out with USC, I believe. And I loved them. I loved them. But as far as the bracket, 1 o'clock in the morning, I said, "Hon, I watched the games. I got to chill. What are we going to do here?" I'm thinking. And I did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They took Texas because they were number 2 in the nation. They slid them into 5. They bumped everybody down. And the other one that hurt us was Georgia beating Texas, because Georgia would have been like an 8 or a 9. We might have ended up playing them first round. And the other thing was the Clemson victory. I mean, they were on death row. It was like Marty in Back to the Future, where he's dying on stage and George kisses the mom, and all of a sudden, boom, he pops up again. That's what it was like for Clemson. But yeah, anyways, so the takeaways that I had this weekend was Arizona's hot. I thought they should have got 3, and not 4. Penn State kind of shocked me that they played that well against Oregon. If they'd have played that well against Ohio State, they'd have won the game. And like I said, Texas and Georgia Tech gave Texas the blueprint on how to beat Georgia, but they didn't want to follow it. And I think from the conversations yesterday, Nick Saban, once again, like I had said last week, he says we need to play 9 games in the SEC. And if you remember yesterday, he said, what do we do? Need to play 9, 10 conference games? And I think Saban's the one that should be running the playoff thing. I really do, because he says strength of schedule should matter, and we should seed everybody, not just give conference championship things. Everybody should be seeded based on who they played and the strength of schedule. And we need to play more conference games so we find out who plays and who plays the best, because Clemson and whoever, SMU didn't even play some of the top teams in their own conference. So that's about it. I mean, like I said, I agree with everything Pop said. Right down, just about word for word. I love them. Wish I had his phone number. I'll let you take it away because I'm ready to pop you on the TV. But I think we just stay focused on Indiana. That's who we have to beat. You play the game the same way you eat a steak. One bite at a time, one play at a time. You get through the game. You focus on Georgia. I think we look at the Georgia Tech tape, which undoubtedly they will. And I think we can beat Georgia. I really do think we can beat them, whether they got Beck or not. I'd rather have Beck because he threw it to all the places he shouldn't lately. But anyways, that's it, John. You have a great day, and maybe I'll catch you at the end of the week.
Hey, have a good one, man. I appreciate that. Look at this. Yeah. I'm telling you, man. Todd, that is unbelievable. He had his bullet points going, and he nailed through them. It was like under 4 minutes. Hot damn. Omar, we're on fire today, baby. Oh, my God. We're on fire today. I love it. I love it. So, I don't know, you guys. This is John, the Bears got humiliated yesterday. You know what's bad? You know what's embarrassing for the Bears, man? And then, you know me, I'm going right back to the calls. You know what's embarrassing about the Bears this week? Every week, it's a different thing. Here's what bothers me this week. They all wanted their coach fired. They all said, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. We need to get this guy out of here, and then we're all going to be better. And he just doesn't know how to motivate us and coach us and everything and whatever. And so they listen to them all, and they fire the guy. And then you go lay a total egg against a team that's not even any good, like out in California. I just don't. It's a really, really bad look, man. Yeah, 1 point the total yardage gain was 310 for San Francisco and 2 for Chicago. Like, for you all to be like, we need to fire this guy, that's the problem, and they do it, and then that's the effort you put out there. And that defense, man, like started out top 10 unit this year, to a bunch of tough guys, and now they can't do anything. It'll offend your football sensibilities. If you watch Bears football, it seems like they have more good players than they ever play like. It is just the weirdest, awful, disgusting thing to watch. 615, what's going on?
Hey, John. Good to talk to you today.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. This is all new territory. It is just it's wild. The narratives, all of these discussions we've never had before, and it's just all new. What do you make of it?
Man, it's exciting, and I think if you look at the season as building blocks, I think it was real important we had that final game of the season with USC that would throw the ball all around the yard. Their offense is similar to what we're going to face with Indiana. So I think that was a best case scenario. If it isn't this year that when you win the championship, then when's it going to happen? I think all of our lucky stars have aligned. There's not one team in this playoff that isn't beatable this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true, and I think that's proven out over the year. I also think you could make an argument that while Notre Dame would have a tough second-round game, overall, their side of the bracket has less overall talent in it. And if you could find a way to scrap out a win against Georgia, you are in really, really good spot to really go for this thing. But that's a high-risk, high-reward endeavor, and that's just the way it worked out.
Well, I'm glad that Georgia's the second game. Granted, we beat Indiana because Notre Dame, once they beat Indiana, and then once they handle Georgia, can you imagine the amount of confidence that's going to ricochet them into the final two games?
Yeah, that would be a big deal. Yeah, you would be changing narratives at that point. You really would. Whether everybody here agrees with it or not, if you beat Georgia in this playoff, you would change the narrative. I realize it wouldn't be in the title game. Maybe people are going to move the goalposts and not give them credit for that too, but that would start to change the narrative.
But looking back on it, I agree with Marcus Freeman in saying the best thing that happened to our team this year was losing to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. It's a wild thing to think and to write and to say and to talk about. But like, could you actually make an argument that that embarrassment against Northern was exactly what that team and coach needed to pull it all together? It's scary to say that, but it looks like it might be partially true.
Oh, I definitely agree with it. And, just to address a little bit what Pat was saying, I think if Notre Dame wins the national championship, all that he said, she said, would have, could have been, it's all going to be to the wayside like it's been with other teams in the past.
I agree.
And it's going to be Notre
But
Dame
that's not my question.
won the national championship.
That's not my question. If you win the national championship, your people are going to be forced to acknowledge and respect you. That's not my question. The question is the levels short of that. Like, how much credit does Notre Dame get for round one or round two wins? It doesn't matter who they're against based on how you see it. I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's going to be they get credit until they win the national championship.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's
kind of like Pat was saying, that's the only thing that's going to change the narrative about our team is them winning the national championship, because that will shut them all up.
So you even think a round two win over Georgia, people would find a way to say, hey, backup quarterback, not the best Georgia team. You caught him in a lucky year. Like, is that going to be the angle? I'm just asking. I don't know if it is or not. Is that the angle then?
Well, I live in the South, and they're going to have every angle you can come up with.
Yeah.
Who's going to officiate that game? Big Ten officials, most likely.
I don't know how they decide that for playoff games. Good question.
But I think Notre Dame, I see them doing really good. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but you've got our old Notre Dame, going down the same rut mentally that we've had for years. And it's hard mentally just to sit back and relax and say, something. They've got a legitimate shot to win the national championship.
Yeah.
It's not like it was in 2012, because if you looked at those teams back then compared to Notre Dame, anybody in their right mind could see there was a major difference with about three of the teams in the SEC compared to Notre Dame.
Yeah,
you could see it in the size and speed, especially like Manti Te'o said when they walked out of the tunnel during the 2012 national championship, and he said they were just looking at the Alabama guys. He said he turned around and saw the look in his teammates, and they were shocked at the difference.
Yeah, it showed. There was a big difference. Hey, man, anything on the way out? Thanks for hitting me up from down south there. We got to represent. Thanks for representing Notre Dame down there. Anything on the way out?
I just say enjoy. I'm from Mishawaka, so I'm going to enjoy Notre Dame not only winning the national championship, but also hanging up the title of the Indiana State football champion 2024.
There you go. Yeah, there's a lot on the line, my friend. Thanks a lot. Have a good one down there. Thanks for the call. 832, we're talking to you. We got a few more we can squeeze in here if we stay on track. 832, what's up?
Hey, John. So I'll try to be quick. First off, I think this was the rankings that happened over the weekend. I think, we got that taste of the NIU loss finally coming to a head. And that's why they kind of pushed us down a little bit. They treated it as 2 losses than the 1, right? So
Yeah,
that's why
and
they kind of pushed us down a
that's
little
a big question I have, man, is if the loss wasn't so very much clearly the worst loss of anybody in the field, how would an 11-1 be treated differently? 11-1 Notre Dame be treated differently? I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah. So I think that was there. And then I got to tell you, I felt a little uneasy on some of the outlets that I saw from Freeman's little, I guess you call it, online press conference thing that he had to look up Signetti on the Google, and I feel like it was almost like, you remember at the end of A&M where he's like, he didn't know who they were playing the next week. I was like feeling a little uneasy about that. I was like, that's something you shouldn't really say openly like that. So it made me feel a little uneasy, him saying that out, in another open forum. So hopefully that was just a slip, and things will go forward, and they'll be ready for Indiana, because, like you said, it'd be the most Notre Dame thing to, screw this portion up. But I think overall,
so I guess that's a joke. I guess that was a joke, and Signetti's the one who said to Google him if you don't know who I am. So Marcus is responding. Apparently, that's a joke.
So, looking at the bracket overall, I feel like we have a pretty favorable side bracket, to be honest with you. Obviously the home field's not going to be a thing because playing another Indiana team, it is what it is. But let's say we get through this, and then we go into Georgia, and a lot of people are saying, I don't think we're going to get the credit until we actually hit the national championship, because not only do they have the quarterback problem, I don't know if you've seen, it's transfer season. I've seen a number of Georgia players already hit the transfer portal as well. So some of their depth pieces
interesting.
are heading out the door.
I got to be honest, I don't think I've seen much of those reports. That's kind of an interesting angle of that. If guys wouldn't even wait and they're ready to go and not interested in sticking around.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the younger recruits that were freshmen and sophomore related that I've seen. It's not been the upperclassmen, obviously. So some of those have kind of taken off, So you got to look at those depth pieces. And I'm not sure how much Notre Dame will get credit if let's say they push through, because I think the national media and then even the Notre Dame fans expect to get through Indiana, and then like a few callers are saying, some of the national media has us already at the national championship. I feel like unless we get all the way to the national championship, we're going to be cut in that cloth where it's just Notre Dame. They lose in the big moments, right?
Yeah.
Even though, let's say we get through Indiana and we count that as a big moment as Notre Dame fans, and let's say we lose to Georgia, it's like, oh well, there's another big moment. They fall again. They fell again. It's like,
man. But just the way this shaped together with Indiana has such a unique feel to it that it's just kind of almost awkward in a weird way, because it's Indiana. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not, it doesn't match the energy I thought this buildup was going to match. And I don't know whether that's good or bad or who to blame or what to make of it. It's not what people were expecting, I think, with the way it feels. It's just, I don't know how to describe it.
And then I do have a hot take that I've been kind of following things and people kind of insinuating some stuff, and this may benefit Notre Dame in the long run because of it's kind of eating itself up. I have a feeling that the conference championships will become obsolete and they're going to go away, which puts Notre Dame kind of in a almost equal playing field, because what they want to do is have everything based on the ranking system and not have like a ranking and then have a separate bracket.
But you really think they would give up the money and the TV and everything that comes with that? Why would they give that up? I just think that's hard to turn down, that free publicity and owning that whole championship Saturday and all that crap.
Well, I think it's the internal stuff that you've seen happening, like with the Clemson thing that just recently happened, right? Clemson had no way to the championship other than, guess what? They won the conference. I think it was not really a big deal until they were allowed in, and then Alabama was kicked out, right?
Yeah.
You know, like it's one of those things. You know, it's once that stuff comes to light, they have to reevaluate on how they do these brackets, right? So I think if this happens again, they're going to start looking at this as like, okay, this is not beneficial to our conference as a total, because they're going to make more money in the playoff brackets than they will in the conference championship.
It'll be interesting to see what these automatic buys, like there are these changes maybe when they go to 14. Hey, thanks a lot. Anything on the way out, man?
Just another couple of weeks we have to wait, man.
I know.
I'm hoping that we fill it out. And am I reading it wrong on the Notre Dame social or whatever? Are they trying to do like a blackout or something like that?
I saw those tweets. I saw those tweets. I don't know what they entail fully, but I did see the tweets.
I was just curious because I know you hear some things. I just didn't know if you had any idea, because it seemed like they're insinuating that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I have no idea. But yeah, that seems like they're hinting. I don't know what that means for uniforms or anything else. Thanks a lot, buddy. Have a good one down there from Texas. Let's keep it moving. 949. What's going on?
I'm with the other caller, but one thing I think is brilliant, and this was several months ago. Michael Nate, he was the former head football coach at Niles Brandywine, real close to Notre Dame. He said, "Get rid of the buys, go to a 16 team. Everything's a play in, and you keep going. It doesn't add any extra time, etc. And it's a stronger schedule." I really like that idea. We won't hear the whining, but I am with the other callers when, they say, well, Notre Dame's always going to, even if we win the national championship, John, I think they're going to say, oh, well, Alabama didn't play in the championship, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man,
So
it's just that. I'm so frustrated with all that stuff. It's just like, what will it take for you to earn proper respect? I don't want any more respect than anybody else should get for doing what you need to do. It's just, I'm so sick of that whole discussion. And the only way out of it is to win your way out of it, man. That's it. It's the only solution to that annoying argument that I find myself in the middle of all the time. You got to win your way out of it.
Yeah. And one thing that I am excited about, and that is if we get by Indiana. Remember, I think it was 2019. The Irish went down to Georgia looking for a game to steal. They were looking good, but they didn't lay the wood. This year is looking fun. We can make a run. I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, run, love, run. The Irish in the championship, run twice, run. Riley in the end zone, go, boys, go.
I like it.
This year's team is better than that year's team, and this year's Georgia team is not as good as that year's Georgia team. So I think it's nothing but go Irish.
Man, I like it.
I'll leave with God bless you. God bless everybody on the call. God bless Notre Dame. And tell us about the parties, John, because go Irish.
Oh, man, I like it. Thank you very much. This guy's doing poetry here. He's writing rap songs or doing poetry. Whatever he's doing, I'm down for it. I don't know what it is, whether it's poetry or the beginnings of a hip-hop song. I'm down with that guy. 727, what's going on? We're moving good today. We're doing good, you guys. Thank you. 727, what's up?
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing very well.
One quick point I want to touch on before I get to my main point. I do agree with you in the sense that if Notre Dame would have lost by 3 points at Texas A&M and beat Northern Illinois by 28 points, I do think they would have been looked at differently this year. Sad to say, but I think that's the case.
But doesn't that feel kind of weird? Because I want to lean on that as like a big situational win for Notre Dame against a athletic roster on the road and all in the heat and everything. I want to lean on that. But now it's like, would you have been better off to lose that one? It feels wrong to me.
Well, the reason why it's weird is because I heard this idiot on ESPN say that Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois was so bad it should be counted as 2 losses, which is ridiculous. But I think that's the way a lot of people look at it. But the major point I wanted to bring up is that I don't really have too much of a problem with where Notre Dame is seated. And the fact that nobody's brought up that I heard is Jack Swarbrick was one of the main architects of this playoff plan. And he was one of the main people who had influence in designing it. And he knew that there would be no way that Notre Dame would be able to be more than 5 seed, higher than 5 seed. And he said that he was okay with that because of the fact that it would help Notre Dame was keeping its independence. It wasn't playing in a conference championship game. So in his mind, that's the penalty that Notre Dame was paying in order to have that. So when that's the case, when you take a Georgia who's behind Notre Dame and they jump up by winning their conference championship game, that's kind of stuff's going to happen. But, the way I look at it, it's kind of like the NCAA basketball tournament. No matter how the teams are seeded, no matter what seed they get, there's always teams that are going to have complaints about it. And the only thing you can do is win a national championship. And I kind of compare it to Georgia. Georgia hadn't won a championship for 40 years. It took Kirby Smart 7 years at Georgia before he won his first national championship. Georgia's had won 2 national championships in a row, and all of a sudden, people look at them totally differently. People give them the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because they earned it. And I think until Notre Dame earns it, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think they should because, Brian Kelly, he was the master of losing the big game. So far, to me, it looks like Marcus Freeman is becoming the master of winning the big game. And somehow he gets his teams laser focused on these big games. And I think that bodes well for Notre Dame. Just really being focused on each game the way he gets them that way bodes well for them in a tournament like this.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what I had to
That's
say.
a fair point, man. The record is on Freeman's side as far as being prepared for these moments overall. That's got to be encouraging for Notre Dame fans. That is a total flip from previous regimes, not just Kelly, but before then too. You do feel like these guys are going to be ready for the moment and they're playing with confidence. It's at home. I don't know what to make. I saw those blackout things. I don't know what to make of that, whether it's a uniform thing, what they're going to plan in the stadium. I don't know. This is just all new, man. I don't know how to process it all. We're all going along with this.
Yeah, I think it's one of your previous points too. I do think you have to consider, if they win, consider it a big win, a big playoff game win, because, each round is going to get bigger and bigger. But before the season started, I heard so many people say, oh, I'll be happy if they just get in and win one game. Okay? Now you got Indiana for your opponent. Well, no, we don't want just one win if it's going to be against Indiana.
Yeah.
We'd like it if it was against Alabama. But you know what? It doesn't really matter if you win one game, if you win 2 games. Notre Dame's not going to get their respect and their due until they win the entire thing. And hopefully it'll be this year.
Well, there you go, man.
I think they got a pretty level path.
Yeah, and every team I've seen play is vulnerable. There is no head and shoulders above everybody else team that I just don't see possibly losing. So anything on the way out, man, good call. Thank you.
No, that's pretty much what I had to say. I appreciate that. Talking to you again.
No problem. Appreciate it, man. Have a good day. Thank you very much. 559. Let's try you again here. Do I got you?
Hey, John. Sorry. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Oh,
man.
no problem. Hey, listen, man.
Look.
Some people got to work on a Monday. I don't blame you at all, man. Some people got to work.
Man, John, I look forward to calling you because I'm ready to let all my fans all the fans, all Notre Dame fans, we need to stop entertaining what ESPN and them are giving us right now because they want us to fit into that Kool-Aid and look ahead and not take Indiana seriously. Right now, we got to focus on one game right now. The rest will come. Let that be when it be. We need to focus on Indiana, do what we need to do, handle our business, and then we can look for Georgia later on. Because I have an appointment with all these Georgia fans on January 1st. Until then, we need to just focus on ourselves. Stand down, find for it, and A. Smith, all you are is just a bunch of loudmouths, never played football, don't know not a goddamn thing about Notre Dame. We just got to focus on ourselves. Marcus Freeman, this is for us. This is for you. This is what our big boys show what we have as fans been holding. And we want to explode because we're ready for that natty. And we need to get that. And like Pat said, the only time we're going to get respect is once we start winning the big ones. And this is the big one. Right now, it's Indiana. Then it's going to be Georgia. And then whoever the hell it is. And then when we get to the national championship, we're going to do what we got to do.
I like that.
Don, we just got to focus on us right now, man. Tired of this.
What do you,
Everybody entertaining the outside noise.
so
We
let
need to
me
just
ask you.
focus on
Okay,
what
let
we
me
have.
ask you.
We have a focus.
What was your reaction when you found out it was Indiana? What was your reaction? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you not know what to think? What's your reaction? Doesn't matter to you?
It doesn't matter because we still got to play the game. It don't matter who it is. We don't need an easy way out because if we got an easy way out, all you're going to hear is all these naysayers. They're going to say whatever they're going to say no matter what. We got to do what we got to do. The hell with everybody else. Right now, let's enjoy this moment because we will have a home game no matter who the opponent is. First time ever, we are hosting a playoff game at Notre Dame Stadium. And as fans, let's treasure that moment. Let's live that moment. Let's explode that moment. And let's show how we love our football team because this is a different football team that we haven't had in 32 years.
Yeah, that's, and you know what? We want to, I want to believe that. And now is the time to prove it, man. I want to believe that Freeman's different and this group of players is different, but you got to make a little run here. And I do agree with that. To really, really be different, you need to make a run here. And I want it to be this team.
Yeah, and Marcus Freeman, there's a lot that I got to say once we overcome this hurdle right now. But I just want you to keep the team focused. Let's not take Indiana lightly. Let's do what we have to do. Let's run them out of this football field, and let's show that coach that's running his mouth already and all this other stuff that we can talk shit to. And believe me, I'm a big one. So don't get me. And at the same time I can talk shit, I will see shit too. I'm sorry to say it like that. Because you know what? I got something for you Georgia fans. And I don't care. And I'm talking my ish right now. But right now, I got to focus on Indiana. I'll take care of you on January 1st.
There you go. I love it, man. Anything on the way out? I'm glad we touched base today. Thanks for calling back.
Boy, Christmas is coming, my boy. And our Christmas gift ain't until January 21st or January 1st or January 20th, whatever the next term it is. And I will be there, and we will be exploding. Until then, John, let's just enjoy it, and we'll talk later.
There we go. Have a good one, buddy. Dude, do you ever wonder, 812, Nick, you'll be the last one. Do you ever wonder, like, who's around when these people call? Like, the way that guy's, like, yelling and stuff. Are you ever just like, I wonder what his coworkers think? He's like, there he goes again. What's he yelling about? Nick Dean, what do you make of the brackets?
Well, I'm not real upset with our draw. I would have preferred somebody other than Indiana first round. But looking forward, I think we can beat Georgia. And I don't see anybody in the other three teams above us, you know, that's a real challenge. I just wish we might have gotten, you know, a Southern team instead of Indiana.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. You're not getting that. You're just not going to get that benefit. And so I know that's what I was thinking about. And it's just, you're just not going to get it. So I don't know. You're just not going to get it.
Yeah. So I kind of knew that they were going to put the conference championship losers ahead of us. Didn't really like it. Thought we should have been ahead of Penn State, but it is what it is. We got to focus on Indiana. And I agree with Pat. They're not going to give Notre Dame respect until we win a national championship. The fans can give them respect. But
yeah, that's the way. What about you, man? Would you count it as a major bowl win if they win round one, or does it have to technically be a little deeper than that, round two on?
Well, had it been Alabama, it would have been nice to
see. That's
a mud hole.
That's so interesting, man. Like the idea that answer could vary depending on how we perceive the matchup could change that thought process. I find very, very interesting. Not like the game itself, but what the dynamics of it are, meaning like the opponent and all that, changing your thought on it. It's very interesting.
Now, we beat Georgia. That's going to be a major win. Nobody can take that one away from us.
Yeah.
But that should propel us into the championship.
Yeah, it's that side of the bracket we're in does have less raw talent overall than the other side, but Georgia may be the biggest hurdle on either side. So it's a very, very interesting positive, negative draw there, but only if Notre Dame beats Indiana, and it's a mistake for us to get ahead of ourselves.
Yep. One game at a time. And my wife and I are already making plans. We're going to be looking at Santa Claus suits tonight off of a line, off of eBay or whatever. And we'll be there, and I'll have a little treat for you. I'm going to send you a picture after the game.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I like this. I've been telling everybody I wanted Santa Claus there. I want Rudolph flying around. I want all that stuff. So, Nick, this is it's all new territory. Nobody's quite sure what this is going to look and feel like. It's all new ground, and it's just exciting to be a part of. I'm glad we're here.
I'm glad we're going to be making history in South Bend on the 20th.
Yeah, this is
that's just amazing.
It's a big opportunity for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman, but the pressure is on, and the matchup you drew is extra pressure packed to me. And there, you got to win this football game. There's no doubt about it.
I just have a feeling that we're going to probably beat them worse than Ohio State did.
Man, it would be.
I just got a feeling.
It'd be really, really nice if Notre Dame could play their type of football game. They're really good defense, find some consistency in the run game, eat up some clock. Like, that's the roadmap to me, but we still got time to break down this matchup. So I don't know, man. This is very, very interesting territory we're entering, Nick. Send my regards to the wife as well, and then hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks. Anything else, Nick?
Yeah, I walked into work today, and this guy that's a big IU fan said, "You want to place a bet on the game?" I said, "Sure. What do you want to bet? $50, $25?" He said, "A pop." I said, "You're that confident in IU? You're going to bet a pop? One pop?"
It's kind of funny. Yeah, that's kind of funny. I don't know, man. Let's see how this all goes. This is going to be a wild build-up, and we'll see if they get anything of what do they want to do, a blackout, whatever. I don't know what that means. Is a blackout a green out in Notre Dame land? I don't know what that means. What is up? Does anybody know that? What does a blackout mean when you're Notre Dame and your colors are not black? What does that mean? I've seen it on social media, and I don't know what it means.
I think they're talking about the TV blackout, for like a certain area around South Bend, but I don't know that either.
No, like I honestly don't know if it's something to do with the uniforms or like. Anyways, I don't know, Nick. But this is going to be exciting. The build-up's going to be huge. But Notre Dame's got to win this one. You cannot afford to give two teams a chance to have the biggest victories in the history of their program at your place in the same year and call the year success. You can't do it. Sorry, can't.
No. I think you should do a Friday night show this week, John.
You know what? That might be a good idea. I think I got plans, I think, Saturday. Maybe that's a good idea, Nick. Stay in touch for that. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, man. You have a good night.
Have a good one. Really appreciate Nick. He's always at all the tailgates and all the events. A green out? Yeah, I'm down for a green out. So I don't know, you guys. This is all wild territory. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to think of. It's just a weird dynamic. And the Indiana thing is throwing a lot of things I wasn't previously thinking about into the mix that you got to kind of consider when you're breaking all this down. It's really, really interesting to me, the different layers that are now on this because it's Indiana. And so I just think that's an interesting piece of it. And we'll see. We got 2 weeks to build this up, and we're going to see how this goes and what everybody thinks. If it's a green out, a blackout, I don't know what it's going to be. Pat's saying you can't do a green out when everybody's wearing winter coats. How many people have a green winter coat? Like, that's a really, really good point too. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're going to wear special playoff uniforms and that's it. And then they do something in the stadium, but they don't ask everybody in a parka to dress weird. I don't know. All right, you guys, really good numbers today. Really, thank you for the chats. Thank you for the calls. I got to tell you, we moved really, really good on the calls. We were 5 to 6 minutes on almost everybody, and it timed out perfectly for everybody. Let's see. I don't know, you guys. Let's see. Brian, $5 holler. Shout out to Army. Dude, wait a second. Some of these, there's something messed up today, you guys. Some of these chats were not in here earlier, and now they're logging. $5 holler from Brian. Shout out to Army football for stomping Tulane and winning the AAC. Yeah, and again, Brian, Notre Dame, the only team that beat them, right? Notre Dame's the only team that beat them. I definitely like that. Lawyer Cop, $5 question. Alternative to join a conference, 2-loss ND bubble. Should book a game. Yeah, we covered that. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you can do that. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for this. And we're going to go live tonight on Patreon with Goolsby. As always, we'll see what he thinks of all this. This is really, really interesting stuff. There'll be some articles coming out, and I'll probably record something else to post tomorrow now. But thank you, guys. There's a lot of meat on this bone. This is exciting stuff for Notre Dame, and let's see where it goes. But good show today, and I really appreciate everybody playing along with the phone lines. If we don't have that many, it isn't always going to be a 5-minute limit, you guys. But when there's a lot of callers, that's the only way to get everybody in so people are not waiting on hold for 2 hours. Genuinely, Omar, it did help me. You were kind of keeping track. I'm trying to too, but it helps to see it on the screen here and not just on the call screen. But if there's half those people, everybody could go double the length. But on a day where it's really, really busy, we have to shorten it. So thanks, everybody, for understanding that. Thank you all so much. This is exciting. Enjoy it.